Hey everybody, Brandon here, welcome back to another tournament game analysis video. We're going to be covering round 3 of the Mississauga Spring under 2100 section. I am on a 1.5 score against someone I drew against someone that was over 100 points high rated, and then I beat someone that was about 50 points higher rated than me. Now I'm playing against Tony, who I played before, and they are again, close to 100 points high rated. A lot of people stronger than me in this event, which I was actually happy about. Because if you play against people high rated and you have like a negative score or something in the event, you probably don't even lose that much rating. As long as you don't go like -5. Which this was out of 5 rounds, so that's what I mean by -5. Is that if I lose like every game, then of course I'll lose quite a bit of rating. But if I go like 50-50 or -1, I still have a chance to even gain rating. Let's see how the game goes, though. We're on a +1 score, so let's hope we can continue the positive streak. I play e4. Tony plays e6, the French. d4, d5, knight c3, in the winner. So I go for the line that I went for in the Quebec Open. c5, a3, bishop takes c3, b takes c3, queen c7, queen g4, knight e7, and instead of taking on g7, I go bishop d3. And bishop d3 again is aimed towards essentially just having the bishop on d3 instead of f1. We're probably going to have to play knight e2 at some point, unless they play c4. We're happy to see c4, but if they take, all of a sudden now we can play knight e2. This is what happened in the game. D takes c3. And after d takes c3, we can now take on g7. And that's what happened. So rook g8, queen takes h7. My opponent played knight c6, which surprised me. And I should play bishop f4 here. Bishop f4, and white has a significantly better position. Instead, I played h4. And now, yeah, my opponent should just play bishop d7 and castle. And I think they actually have compensation here. But instead, or they can even take on e5. This is actually very promising as well. And that's actually what they do. They take on e5. And then I made a huge mistake with bishop f4. I knew they could take on d3, but I thought this was promising for me because I can take back and take on c3. But this does actually run into problems. They didn't actually take on d3. This would be bad for me because now they have e5. And then bishop f5. And things start kind of falling apart. Like, if I take on c3, they can actually just go into this endgame and then play d4 or rook c8. Both work. Let's just say d4 here. c2 will fall and they have an amazing center. So this is a huge problem. But they played bishop d7. I go king f1 to avoid knight takes d3 with check, which is actually fine. This is about an equal position because there's like there is actually problems with the c2 pawn. They castle long. And now I play knight d4, which is a mistake. They have to see one of a few moves here. They have to see either rook g4, which I totally missed, but they can also play knight g6, which is something I saw and I was actually really concerned about because I thought at this point I had made a mistake because it feels like I have to take on g6 with the light square bishop, and this is something I don't want to do. And yeah, that would not be a good scenario to deal with because they actually can give a check here on c4 and then take back. And losing this bishop, there's just too many tactical possibilities now, and my king feels extremely weak. But my opponent didn't do that. They actually played knight 7 c6, and now I'm like super happy because they had one chance there to not only defend but actually just get a straight up winning position. And here I'm just in time to take on c6. And they have to take with the bishop, and when they do, I can play rook e1. And this is very unfortunate because we have a line here which ends up very favorably for us. So again, this king f1 is kind of saving the day now. They play f6, which is a natural move, and I want you all to calculate from here, at least just a little bit of what you think you should do. Just a little bit. Don't calculate too much. So of course, the first thing is queen takes c7, king takes c7. And now I want you to recalculate. Just in case if you didn't want to calculate before, this is where I ended up calculating. But this is easily something you can see before, where there's a few options for us to do. We can take on e5, and then try to push our h-pawn. We can try pushing our h-pawn immediately. There's a bunch of moves. But what should we do here? And one move is better than the rest. And I was happy because I played the right move. I did spend a little bit of time here just to make sure, because you don't want to play a position like this and then like have what clearly looks like a good position for white and then somehow mess it up. So here we should actually take with the rook. And when we look at the full variation, we don't have to look at others to realize why this is best. After f takes and bishop takes, we can clearly see why this is best now, because after king d7, the h-pawn runs to h7, the g-pawn runs to g7, and we don't even take their rook on h8. So let's see, h5. They play d4 in the game, so we'll just cover that. I go rook h2 just to defend everything, because I want to play g4 at some point too. Let's say rook h8, offering the exchange back. And I don't think we should take it. Actually, h6 is better. And they're kind of just stuck here. Like rook f8, h7, and now king e7, g4. What can they do here? King f7, but g5. We're going to play g6 and then g7. And unfortunately, they don't really have anything they can do about us just winning both of their rooks in this situation. Even though we're down in exchange, it doesn't matter. These pawns are too strong, and they're defended by the bishop and my other bishop. So this would be completely winning. This isn't actually far off from what happened in the game. I played rook h2, king e7 first, h6, bishop b5 was played because they realized that, like, yeah, h7 is coming, and I'm not even going to promote unless they don't play rook h8. Like if they play a6 or something, h7, and they move away, now it makes sense to promote. Even still, it's not fully necessary. I think we can still play like g4, g5, g6, g7, and then h8. But like just promoting immediately, this takes off both of their rooks. We're up a full piece, and the g-pawn is still going to promote. So that's winning enough. So my opponent played bishop b5, trying to make things tricky. I took on b5. They played d3. And this just doesn't work. I can take on d3. They take on d3 with the rook, hoping to promote it. But of course, I calculated that bishop b2 will save the day. And in this position, my opponent resigned. And that was the game. So I was actually pretty happy with this one. There were obviously some mistakes in the middle game, but this is a French, and this was the winner of all things, one of the sharpest openings that can be played. So it's natural that there's going to be mistakes. But finding this move, rook takes e5, is something that I'm not always certain I can do, and being able to play it and realizing that it's working, and just calculating, because I did calculate, making sure that there were no complications with like the rooks being able to stop it. Even intuitively, like, this feels like it should win, even if we don't calculate too much. But of course, if you're going to sacrifice an exchange, you should calculate it. And one of the big things I was watching out for was making sure king b6 and bishop b5 wasn't working with like d4, d3. And my conclusion was that, yeah, nothing would come of it, which ended up being correct. And I was super happy about that. And that's actually how the game went. And of course, again, after bishop to b2, my opponent resigned. And yeah, that's how the game went. I was really happy with this one. And that's going to cover it. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in round number 4. We're on a +2 score, playing against people that are only higher rated than us in this event. So it's been a good one so far. See y'all in round 4. Bye-bye.